Catus, Maximus here. This is just a simple video, then and now. Just so people, or anybody who's interested, can have just a quick little look at, I guess, how far something as simple as a combination wrench has come. And so what I have here is two wrenches. They're not exactly the same size, but they're within an 1/8 inch. We have a 3/4 inch and a 7/8. And of course, the smaller boxier one is an old Stanley American-made one. I assume these newer ones are Taiwanese. And proportionally speaking, a lot of things have actually changed, besides just the logo being like the outline versus the boxed-in version. Is one thing is, even though there's only an 1/8 inch difference in size, these newer wrenches are much longer handle. We can see, actually, even though I like the old American-made stuff, a lot of old American-made wrenches, they didn't do things like put little chamfers on the lead-in on the open end, which is another slight improvement to usability. Also, for Stanley's credit, you know, some vintage box wrenches, they just have like the size printed one place, kind of light, right on the open end. I'll give Stanley credit for having it twice. And the main reason a lot of older wrenches are like that is because there's many wrenches that will have one size box end and one size open end. So that's why they would put a size on each, just so you know that they're both exactly the same. But, and of course, nothing on the back. Newer one, we actually have sizes in 4 places, which, to tell you the truth, I do kind of appreciate that aspect. Doesn't matter how you grab it or by which end, you'll be able to easily see what size it is. Of course, on the box end, even though it's a little bit hard to see, you can see that it is indeed fluted. And proportionately speaking, even though these aren't the same size wrench, the box ends up being thicker. That's one thing I've actually seen. I've seen quite a few old wrenches where it isn't, you know, these little nubs getting worn out in the drive side from not being fluted. It's that they actually just split. And so these older wrenches tend to be higher access. They just have a little bit thinner of a buckle, but a lot of people will stand on them. You know, the beam is, the leverage is really tuned for this, but for this thickness of a box. But people stand on them, put cheater bars on them, and of course the box end, this will split open. Either the nut strips or the box end splits open. So what they've done on, I think it's probably been since the 90s. I think the Stanley wrench, this old USA made one, is 70s or 1980s. Where this one is going to be 90s or 2000s or newer, where it's just a newer pattern. Just a much taller buckle or box end, just to handle more torque, even though it's sacrificing some, a little bit of clearance, or it's a little bit thick, so it won't make it in the tight as tight areas. It's just a thicker box that can just comes with a longer beam to begin with, and for all those above reasons, can just take more of an abuse. And of course, the last thing that's changed is, I don't know, it may have been simply that chrome plating on older tools just isn't as thick as it is in now more modern days, just because they've refined the process better, or just the ability to do a heavier chrome plating is just doesn't cost as much as it used to. But the old chrome plating was just a simple, this wrench is actually in really good condition, but just a simple, pretty thin chrome plating. We just have essentially the rough finish. And on modern wrenches, of course, you know, this is all full polish with a pretty heavy, kind of lustrous chrome finish. So for anybody who wants to watch it, or might be curious, I should say, about what a 50-year difference in Stanley combination wrenches looks like, or somewhere around that time frame, just wanted to do a little documentation. It's always kind of neat just to be able to see how some things that seem as simple and direct as a combination wrench can actually go through a whole bunch of change. Really appreciate everybody who's been watching. See you next time.